Correct. Tail end, but I still am watching the Oklahoma City Thunder, so I'm very happy they're first in the West. So
Nice.
that's what's
That's
up.
awesome. Yeah, Jason just went to a game. God, he's gone to a couple games this year. Fair weather fan because they're good, but
Well, they're very good.
aren't they good? You follow basketball that
Oh,
closely? Are you? Do you?
Trevor, I don't look like I follow sports, but I follow all sports,
I
buddy.
didn't say
So
that.
basketball, football, women's basketball. I
Yeah,
watched both games yesterday. LSU against Iowa. What was the
yeah,
other one? UConn against USC. I watch all sports
yeah.
because I don't
That's
sleep.
awesome. Yeah, okay, that's all. That well, I don't know how awesome that is, but yeah, you seem like the type that has a ton of energy, man. But yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, I really geek out on the NBA big time, and baseball just started, so that's been really, really fun. You'll have some good basketball down in Australia, as a matter of
Oh, they're great
fact.
basketball. We have the
Yeah,
NBL, the National Basketball League. A lot of good players from here go to
yep.
the NBA.
And a lot of players from the United States are coming down there to get a little seasoning when they don't want to go to college. Has been a trend I've noticed
Correct.
as well.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, hey, it is really good to see you again. Like I said, Brad always does such a great job of keeping us up to date with what you have going on. You're kind of a polymath. You always have a lot going on, and you're doing a lot of work for cancer research. Of course, a friend of HGA, Lance Kawaguchi. Thanks so much for joining us again, brother, from the Cure Brain Cancer Foundation. Can't thank you enough for coming on again. We had a thoroughly good time last time.
Always enjoy, Trevor. I was looking forward to this. It's 8:30 in the morning here, so I'm pumped up.
Nice.
No
Good.
caffeine also.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much for making the time again, man. I know how busy you are. So I just saw that you have so much going on. Like I said, you're kind of a polymath, man, and you're always in the news. I saw that you rang the bell at NASDAQ. Was that recent?
So that was the second time, Trevor, in 2 years.
Okay.
So it was December with
Yeah.
20 plus other cancer charities.
Awesome.
And then the year before that was with roughly about 55 cancer patients, survivors.
That's
So
awesome.
twice
Man.
in 2
What an
years.
honor.
What's ironic? I was in finance, and you obviously work
Yeah.
for TPG and also for Lehman, but I was in finance investment banking for 26 years. Never once got the opportunity, and then I move into cancer research, and then I get all these opportunities, right? So, but what I always wanted to do, and I think I spoke with you and Jason before, is there's so many charities in the U.S. 1.6 million. In Australia, there's 60,000. But everything I do, I want to make sure we can collaborate. So instead of just me going up there, I wanted to bring 50 other people the second time to kind of uplift everyone. I always think that if you uplift yourself, why not just uplift everyone with you, right? You
I
kind of
love that.
uplift the game, but it seems to be very antiquated. It's, people, decisions are quite slow. In my humble opinion, people are adverse to anything different. People are just want to stay in their comfort zone because that's how it's always been. But if you want to be a disruptor, you got to disrupt. You know what I'm saying?
We have to be careful when someone says, especially in like the nonprofit space, "Oh, we've always done it this way." We have to have a lot of trepidation when we hear those kinds of statements. I love that really, really coincides with our outlook about everything, Lance. When you say it's like, why are we competing against each other? Why can't we collaborate? We're all kind of working towards the same outcome. I say kind of, but we're all working towards the same outcome, or at least, I'm speaking about in your space. What we say about collaboration and just even competition, with folks that are in our space to compete with HGA, for instance, Jason and I and our entire team have always been like, hey, listen, we can't control that. That's fine. But more good people in the space is good for the space. So
I agree.
we're really, you know what I mean? So we're really open-minded to that kind of stuff. So I know because of your background, you come with a different set of eyes. And I mean that in the best possible way when you come into the nonprofit space and in the research foundation space and raising money, fundraising space.
Trevor, for me, all I care is, as I mentioned, there's a disconnect because we serve cancer patients. Cancer patients don't have the luxury of time. But decisions and everything in the nonprofit world seems to move at a glacial pace. So for me, I really don't care. I get so much hate mail. Trevor, you would not believe. Hate mail, racist, it's ridiculous. Brad knows all of it. But I don't really care because at the end of my life, it's the lives that you impacted positively, right? People are always going to jump to conclusions, but when you have the facts, it's a whole different ballgame. People jump to conclusions, they break people down, and they realize, oh no, we didn't have all the facts.
It's just amazing to me why people would take the time to even do something like that. But I'm not trying to get all altruistic or Buddhist on you, but it's like they're in a really, really bad place if that's what they're taking their time to do. Do you see them? You know what I mean? And
oh, no, I understand. Everybody is going through pain, and I just try to be empathetic. I can only control the variables I can control. I can't control things like other people's perception. I can focus on my reality and focus on the facts, right? For me, it's just linear. It's black, it's white, just do the best you can.
When you set out on your South Pole trek for cancer, there's a lot of unknowns. There aren't a lot of controllables. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean? When you're doing it. So talk to us about that. Talk to us about that experience. I mean, we talked to you probably, I think you were training for it, right? Last time we spoke. And then
it was 13 months of training. So no one's ever done this before, right? So again, people need to have a little bit of understanding that we're kind of figuring it out as we go, right? So I went from 30 years not working out to roll the tape forward. 13 months later, I gained 31 pounds.
Nice. Yeah.
In 13 months, right? I worked out 2 to 3 times a day. I ate 9,000 calories. My entire life changed, right? But again, it's never been done before. All I cared about was raising awareness for cancer, but really try to create a force multiplier that all charities across 6 different countries can collaborate for one purpose. It's not about how much you raise, it's about the impact and really a proof point that we can work together and there can be no hidden agendas, right? Which was very difficult. I reached out to hundreds of charities. So the 20 plus that signed on, I give them, I commend them because I tried to pitch them and explain to them why we're doing it. But so many times, Trevor, you know this and Jason knows this, people were saying, what's the catch? Why would I want to help you? So for me, it's really just trying to show that we can work together and, roll the tape forward. Beginning of January, I got to the South Pole, raised it up for 20 plus charities, and we got it. But it's more so at NASDAQ and also at the South Pole. I stayed there for hours just videotaping for people either who passed away and the family wanted me to take a photo. They wanted me to take a memento from their mom who passed away. Cancer patients that are currently battling, they use that as motivation. So that's what it's about, right? So this year in 2024, I don't know if Brad shared with you, but what I want to focus on is impact and action. So I'm going to announce, this is the first time I'm announcing this, but normally we do 1-year fellowships. Last couple of years, we've done 3-year fellowships for research. We're going to be announcing the first ever that we've ever done 5-year early career fellowship, $575,000. So one researcher will have 5 years of stability, right? But that's what people care about, right? People care about treatments, people care about research, and people care about just getting runs on the board.
That's the heavy lifting that y'all are doing. When you set out on a venture like that, that's what you're achieving, right?
Yeah, with a handful of employees. Less than 8, less than 7, actually.
At this point right now?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Well, we talked to you about that. Like I said, ad nauseum, we can talk about, once again, your background, getting into the nonprofit space and the fundraising space and the awareness space, and how refreshing it is to see. There's been have you noticed this with the other research foundations and just other, cancer orgs in general? Have you noticed an injection of new talent that's been piquing your interest and getting you kind of excited? If you're not, I'm not projecting, but
just to roll the tape back, over the past, I would say 2 years, right? The first year, everyone, I shared this with you and Jason. I worked with all these big bulge bracket top 5 recruiting companies. They said, oh, they like you, but you don't have non-for-profit background. And I said, that doesn't matter. I understand. I care about people. I focus on the people. I don't really care. At the end of the day, we want results. Now, roll the tape for 2 years. I've given up. There's like over 500 people. Hey, what is your next move? Are you interested? But I'm not done here, right? I'm focused on this. But again, my objective is just to figure out a way, how can I use my platform to try to get awareness and also to raise funds. But more importantly, how can we try to break down the silos so we can collaborate? Because all of us can raise a lot of money, but if we're all going in different directions, it's inefficient. It's going to be much more value if we can figure out a way how to come together and work together. That's the only way we're going to move forward.
Well, relationships are our superpower. We believe in that strongly. The strength of your relationships, you can really equate that to the strength of your organization, right? Within, without, constituents, folks that you're helping and things of that nature. What are some ways that I know you're doing a ton of stuff like the South, Pole track, you're doing the NASDAQ. What are you doing like on a day-to-day, like on a grassroots level, I should say? I know that you're in the cancer space. I know that you're in the cancer research space. There's a lot of other rare diseases. There's a lot of other, organizations that are all kind of pulling in the same direction, but obviously different, right? Like you said, it's horribly inefficient. What have you noticed and what kind of advice, because I know you're willing to give away your best information away for free. Like what kind of advice are you giving to organizations, or can you give to organizations that kind of see the same thing? Like, hey, we're all combating homelessness here, and you're doing this, that, and I'm doing this, and what have you, because I know there's some symmetry there that the audience can
I
definitely
focus on the relationship. I have no idea what's going on in operation. I trust my COO, Helen, trust my team. I focus on breaking up my time. So in the morning, I call Australian donors, community members, other charities, trying to get the message out on why can we work together? This is what we're doing. Then in the afternoon, I focus on Asia. Then in the evening, I focus on the US and UK. UK is the most difficult because the time difference is like very difficult. But I just try to speak to as many people as possible to build that network and build that community. So for example, the South Pole Trek for Cancer, although I focus on brain cancer, I'm passionate about all cancers. So I partnered with Cancer Research Institute, which has given out over $515 million for immunotherapy. That's not just brain cancer, that's all cancers. But also
I saw that.
Lustgarten Foundation, the largest private funder of pancreatic cancer for pancreatic cancer, right? But I think a lot of people don't realize there's over 120, or actually close over 120, 200 practically, different brain cancers alone. Each of them are rare cancer. But there's over 1,200 rare cancers and 7,000 rare diseases. So what I tried to do is just try to make sure, this is what I don't quite understand. Sometimes when you're in one cancer, you seem to only care about one cancer. But people have to understand also those cancers oftentimes metastasize and turn into other cancers. So why not just find good organizations to try to help? So that's what I try to do. So it's just communicating and reaching out to as many people as possible, kind of educating them on the facts and also on what we're trying to do. And some kind of go with us, some don't. But all you can do is try.
Do you find that you're getting yourself in a situation with these phone calls that you're actually asking for money at sometimes once you've established that relationship? Or is it, this is what we've done, this is what we're doing, this is what we plan on doing, we'd love to invite you to be a part of it? Like, how are you? I mean, I'm only saying that for the audience who are the folks that are picking up the phone and asking and have call reluctance and things of that nature. That's real,
Correct. So I would say that I've been on both sides of the calls when people from fundraising call me and when I'm asking for funds. So I find oftentimes it's very off-putting when sometimes you're in a meeting, the first meeting, and they say, you need to give me X amount. I've never asked specifically for money. What I try to do is show the value proposition, build the relationship, show that I care. And then through the conversations, they say, how can I help? And I'm like, well, here's a couple ways. We're raising money for GBM Agile. We're raising money for this research. We're raising money for this. I'm not prescriptive because I'm not a fundraiser. I'm a human being that actually, if you take a step back and you know how it is in investment banking and also project finance, I've raised billions of dollars, but it's never been about the pitch or asking for the money. It's about the relationship when people trust you. And that doesn't happen overnight. When I joined, I think you and Jason and I spoke about it, there was quite a bit of turnover before I came. There was like a lot of CEOs. So it took a full year before those people who were very reticent to start buying in, and then they start going and jumping on. So for me, I don't think I've ever sat down with a community member, say, hey, can you give this? I always say, here's what we're doing. Here's what we've delivered. This is what we're planning to do. And one thing we're focused on this year is something I call impact in action. So everything that we said we were going to do, we kind of give an update. We said we're going to roll out GBM Agile. Here's the 4 sites. Here are the 3 treatments. So just reconciling. So for me, that's what's
keeping
important.
Folks apprised of what's going on. Folks loved, that you've invited it to, partake and help and give to the cause. Always want to know what's going on. It seems like, right? And they have every right to, because they're an investor in the organization. They're invested. The most prolific fundraising minds that I've ever met, and I'm not saying there's dozens and dozens and dozens of them, have always adopted that same approach, Lance. And that's, once again, relationships first. Be patient. These things take time. You might have to make, there might be 30 phone calls or, 6 years of staying in contact with someone until they write a major check or give a major gift. But one thing very, very interesting, and Jason taught me this, is, if we can talk about what we've done, what we're doing, and where we're going, and just keep folks succinctly apprised of these things, you can never go wrong. It just seems to be such a winning combination.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I always tell people the facts are not hard to remember, right? I mean, it is what it is, right? So when I joined, I said, I'm going to bring GBM Agile. Now 4 sites are open, giving 3 innovative treatments from the US to Australia. That's factual. That's undeniable. You can't deny that. And to the point about the community, Alicia's Army in Melbourne with Cheryl Way, or Alan Wolf with Woofy Foundation, or Michelle Kennedy, These are people so passionate, like so passionate, that just like the passion alone, you do not want to let them down.
Totally.
Like I will not do that.
No, I
You
understand.
know what I'm talking about,
I absolutely do.
right?
There's something very interesting. Every single person, in the audience that's going to listen to this or view this, you yourself, me, myself, there's not one person that hasn't been either directly affected or know someone with 0 degrees of separation that has been affected by cancer. That's something that very interesting. I've always recognized that's galvanized people in this space and made them so
Oh yeah.
passionate.
Well,
Yeah.
Trevor, we spoke about that last time. I've worked and lived in over 15 countries. I've worked in over 46 countries. Every place I've been, everyone hates cancer, and everyone would do anything for their family members that have cancer. It's the only galvanized. It's like the only thing that people agree on.
It's devastating, and it's also why this needs to continue. These conversations need to continue. And I feel like sometimes in real time that folks are, when they're doing big things, and you're working on a global scale. I mean, a lot of folks, 2 team members at their organization, or a staff of 300, everyone's doing very, very similar work when it comes to awareness and fundraising and what have you. But you're doing this on a global scale. But what's also very, very interesting to me, and can't be spoken about enough, are the fundamentals of this approach to building these relationships, to creating this awareness continually, over and over, repetitively. I mean, do you ever feel like you're in that kind of space where you're just, because you're talking to folks in different time zones and different continents all the time? I mean, it's like, do you ever feel like you're just on repeat sometimes? Or talk to me about that when you have fatigue.
If you take a step back, when I was in banking, I kind of ran a team roughly about 700 plus over 23 countries. If you ask anyone who's ever worked with me or know me, I've always slept about 2 hours a day. I've never drank caffeine, never smoked, whatever. I've always lived a very healthy lifestyle. So I'm always have a lot of natural energy, like too much at times. So I try to just use that. And I enjoy, the only fatigue I get, unlike banking, as you know, is that the people that you build relationships with, they usually end up passing away. And that is a significant emotional toll. So these 3 years, 3.5 years, I would say I've seen more death than the previous 45 years times 10. That takes a physical, like emotional toll, right? But I try to turn that sadness into motivation, right? And that's what drives me, right? Every time I get Trevor, this is a separate discussion. You would not, it would be a movie. How much stuff I deal with, attacks. But at the end of the day, I remember when my mom was holding my hand right before she passed, and she asked me to do something for social impact. People don't understand. I was in Iraq. Remember, I told you I was the country head for an international bank in Baghdad. I don't care if you punch me in the face. I am going to keep moving forward. If you hit me with a truck, I'm going to crawl forward. If you drive over me multiple times, I'm going to keep coming. So it's just that relentless mindset. It's serving someone more than yourself. And when you do that, you have extra power because you don't care about yourself. You care about others. And for me, everyone talks about it. But at the end of the day, if you're not willing to try to move things at a faster pace and make a bigger impact, then why are you in the role? That's what I always tell people. People always say, can you coach me? You can't coach heart. You can't coach mindset.
Yeah, those things are very difficult. I mean, certain skills can be trained, can be attained, but it takes such a tremendous amount of discipline. There's a lot of natural gifts that really, really prove themselves well over time. I totally get that. I was curious. I'm not going to get too far off the beaten path, but just because we talk about this kind of stuff with like mindset and taking care of yourself and this and that, you were training super hard, beyond hard for this South Pole trek. What's going on now? What's the next thing? Are you still training? Did you adopt some of these different practices in your life? You're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to miss that. I'm going to keep lifting weights, or I'm going to keep running or doing something. Talk to me about that.
No. Trevor, I told you and Jason and everyone who knows me, I do not lie. I will tell you straight up. The moment I was done, I have not picked up a weight.
Okay.
I have
Gotcha.
not done any
That's
cardio.
okay. No judgment. I'm just asking. Yeah.
I'm just speaking the truth, buddy. And my point is that I've always lived, I think I mentioned this to you and Jason. I meditate in the morning. I meditate at night. I've been a vegan for 35 years, 36 years. I drink a lot of water. I don't smoke. I've never done drugs. So I just try to stay in a very positive, stress-free mindset. So although I'm not physically working out, which I recommend everybody work out, I'm not saying, I'm just being honest. That's just not my
I
thing.
get you. Yeah.
It's just not
Yeah,
my
it doesn't
thing.
have to be. Yeah. No, things are working. It seems like things are working well. Yeah. What are you doing to keep your, I know you have so much, I tell a story. Bailey's heard this a bunch of times, and folks that have listened to the show have listened to it a bunch of times. I saw a therapist years ago because I was in like really high pressure kind of sales, and I met this beautiful lady that taught me so much about myself and uncovered a lot of things that really, really helped me out tremendously. And she always told me, she's like, you have tremendous plumbing. You know what I mean? Like, just so you know, it's like you can handle so much coming in. Like you and I have that in common, even though I'm not at your level when it comes to all the calls. And it was so interesting the way she was able to articulate it. And she's no matter what happens, no matter what you do, no matter how much you train, who you surround yourself with, how you eat, the plumbing going out is never going to match. So just accept it. Just be okay with it. Figure out what works for you. It sounds like meditation, your diet, taking care of yourself, not imbibing.
Well, my biggest thing is just, again, put things in perspective, right? I think context is important. And when you see people go from excited about their life to finding out they have 1 month left, it doesn't make a difference what is happening. Like every day I wake up, I'm sore, I'm tired in some days. It is irrelevant. Nothing, like even with the South Pole, I got multiple concussions, whiplash, all my toenails fell off. It doesn't matter. Nothing I go through is going to match going through something that's terminal cancer. It just won't. So when you frame your life in that, you have a sense of gratitude. And every day I always say, it could be worse. So I'm always grateful for my family. Every day is a gift. And I don't sweat the small stuff. I really don't care. Someone gets mad. All right, cool. My bad. That's on me. Whatever. I don't really care. I just focus on serving and protecting my positive energy.
I love that. Wow, that's really great advice. I love that. It's amazing. I've experienced that loss with cancer very, very close to me before, and very, very rapidly. And it's amazing when you see someone's health deteriorate like that, how inconsequential, like you said, the small stuff can be.
Yeah. Like arguments with your wife. Like my wife argues. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's on me. I'm like 0 and 500 in arguments. But I save probably 500 hours, right? Because in the grand scheme of things, do I love her? Yes. Do I love my family? Yes. Focus on the important stuff. Is your family healthy? Are you healthy? You're rich. You got it. You're good.
You're talking about purpose and fulfillment. And I love what you said. Actually, I was going to ask you about this. I was going to use the G word, man. I was going to talk about gratitude, but you said it before I even had a chance to ask. So I just think that's such a great way to wrap on
Like
that note.
every hour, I have something to be grateful for.
No
right?
question.
And we all do,
brother. Yeah, we all do, brother.
I know.
Yeah.
But I think we forget about it. And we focus on the little things that are not perfect. But life's not perfect, right? But when you look for pockets of perfection, that can take you through the day.
Yeah, that can be fleeting. That's for sure. That's for sure. Hey, man, you know that we're big fans. HGA, Team HGA is a big fan of yours and your foundation and the work that you're doing and the collaboration that you're doing and galvanizing people in the space and what you continue to do. And of course, of Brad and your team. So, brother, thank you so much for taking the time. We will do this again. I know everyone will look forward to it.
Are you sure, Trevor? Because I was waiting by the phone for you and Jason. I'm always waiting by the phone. Is it going to call? Not going to call?
You're so funny.
You're big timing me.
I owe you an apology. I owe you an apology because we were supposed to meet a couple weeks ago, and I have a 5-year-old, so I got hit with this kindergarten fever crazy bug where I was gonna tough it out and come down, but like no. A video man. We had a video man in the studio and all that stuff doing work for us, and I just I don't want to get him sick. So thankfully enough, y'all were so flexible with us to reschedule, and Brad was, and all
anything for you, Trevor.
I appreciate you.
Hopefully Jason joins next time.
We got a lot going on. We are helping a lot of organizations right now. He told me to say hello. Sincerely told me to say hello.
No, and, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So I look forward to the next time we can speak, and I appreciate you taking the time.
We will do it again, brother. Thank you so much for what you're doing and for your time. And we'll be sure to thank Brad as well, Lance. Thanks for everything.